estimated that in one single year, DC will receive over 27 million visitors, putting it solidly as the 7th most visited city in the United States by international travelers. Overwhelmingly, visitors come to DC for two main reasons. One, they come to see the monuments and memorials that line the National Mall. Or two, they come to visit one of the 17, at the time of this recording, open Smithsonian institutions in the city. Trivia, fun fact. Taking the gold, silver, and bronze respectively are the Lincoln Memorial, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, and the World War II Memorial. That all checks out. But do you know what data points made me do a triple take? I was not expecting these numbers at all. One little blush-colored flower has the same visitor rate as the freaking Air and Space Museum.
I'm about to end this man's whole career. Bada bop boom pow.
If you've ever lived in or around the DC area, you know firsthand that the first nanosecond the weather goes from winter to spring, all anyone can talk about are the cherry blossoms. It is for sure one of the most beautiful times to be in DC, but have you ever stopped to think about how Japanese cherry blossoms ended up in DC? Ended up on the East Coast? Are you instead wondering about the best place to see these iconic flowers without having to go through Herculean editing efforts to get people out of your damn photo? Do not worry, my friend. If seeing the cherry blossoms in Washington, D.C. is on your travel bucket list, save this video right now because we're going to cover all these questions and more. I promise. Pack your flownays, pack your sun hat, pack your walking shoes because you're definitely going to need it for this adventure. Welcome to DC's Cherry Blossoms Explained, a Fridates deep dive on when to go and what to know. Hello, welcome aboard. My name is Sophia and welcome to Fridates Travel. Fridates is where curiosity meets travel and community, where we go beyond the pretty pictures and get into the stories, the actual history, and the context behind what makes a place actually worth exploring. Around here, we're not just asking where to go, but we're asking why it matters. So if you're a traveler who reads the plaques, who is interested in the folklore and legends behind a place, and who wants your travel to actually mean something, you're in the right place, friend. When it comes to spring and the types of flowers that bloom in DC for sure has gardens dedicated to tulips, magnolias, azaleas, and plenty of other flowers, but no flower has quite enraptured the citizens of DC quite like the cherry blossom. So that begs the question, what even is a cherry blossom? Cherry blossoms refer to the flower of trees in the genus Prunus, also known as sakura in Japanese. Cherry blossoms, or sakura, bloom on ornamental cherry trees, aka there are no cherries on these trees because they do not bear any fruit. Sometimes pink, sometimes white. Cherry blossoms come in many different varieties, and some estimates say there are at least 200 different varieties of cherry blossom trees that all originate from about 10 to 12 wild species of cherry blossoms in Japan. Coincidentally, although DC herself does have 10 to 12 different species of cherry blossoms, by far the two most common types of cherry blossoms in DC are the Yoshino, the white cherry blossoms that come in clusters of 2 to 5 flowers, and the Kwanzan, the pink blooms that kind of look like the tissue paper flowers you made for your mother back in like pre-K for Mother's Day. Now these cherry blossoms are sensitive little souls. Typically the window for peak bloom, aka when 70% of the trees in the tidal basin are in full bloom, is between late March and early April. But let me give you two quick warnings. Peak bloom is absolutely affected by the weather. These flowers can bloom as early as mid-March or as late as mid-April, depending on the weather that year. But let me tell you, once you see that some of the trees around the city are beginning to bloom,
run, bitch! Run!
Because you have a couple of days, or really until the next rainstorm, before all those beautiful blossoms become confetti on the wind or scattered petals on the sidewalk. Now, these tiny flowers to me are the definition of small but mighty. They have transcended their role as merely a pretty flower and have cemented their legacy and their cultural importance in both the Eastern world and the Western world, which is quite impressive.
I'm a big dog. I do big dog shit.
To start off, we cannot talk about sakura without talking about hanami. My apologies for any mispronunciation. Hanami is an ancient Japanese practice that goes back centuries, all the way back to the years 710 to 794 in Japan's Nara period. Current day, it is actually one of the most popular spring events in Japan. During a Hanami, families, friends, and co-workers hold a party, a feast, a picnic, whatever you want to call it, under a blooming cherry blossom tree. But historically, if you think everyone was participating in a Hanami, think again, my friends. These celebrations were originally reserved for the elites of the imperial court, as they were more of a religious rite. This rite would essentially forecast harvest conditions of the rice. It was believed that if the cherry blossoms were bountiful, then so too would be the rice harvest. Eventually, over the generations, the practice of Hanami spread to the samurai class, and then later by the Edo period, it would spread to the common everyday man. Today, during a Hanami, it is a full day ordeal where people gather under the flowering cherry blossom trees to enjoy a meal, dance, to sing some karaoke, drink some sake, and enjoy each other's company. In Japan, it is actually very common to see people staking out their spot in the early morning to ensure like they would have a perfect spot. Symbolically, due to the cherry blossom's nature of blooming for about a week and then disintegrating into a shower of confetti, cherry blossoms have become almost a melancholic reminder. Some articles I read even compared sakura to the life of a samurai, with both life cycles being short, intense, but ending ultimately in death. These little flowers really have a bittersweet sort of beauty to them, because even though in a week the trees will be bare, it is a reminder that life moved on from the cold dregs of winter and will continue to move on. That is the cycle of both life, nature, and the cherry blossom. So with all that, let's circle back to one of my original questions. How exactly did these iconic flowers cross not only an ocean, but an entire continent to become a fixture of DC culture? Now, this story has a surprising amount of twists and turns, and honestly, at times it is weirdly serendipitous. So y'all have your snackies? Okay, let us begin at the beginning. It's 1885. Eliza Skidmore, famed writer, world traveler, and diplomat, returned to DC from her trip to Japan with her brother George, who was working for the U.S. Consular Service. While in Japan, Eliza falls in love with Japanese culture, Japanese people, and mostly the flowering sakura trees. She loves these trees and the culture surrounding them so much so that upon her return, she becomes a woman on a mission.
Oh, Lord.
Now, previous to this, there was a tract of land that was reclaimed from the Potomac River, land that is present day between the tidal basin and Haines Point. Eliza, seeing that empty space, thought that this area was the perfect opportunity to introduce the beauty of Japanese cherry blossom trees to the American people. She is so dead set on her idea that she forms a proposal and takes it to the U.S. Army Superintendent of the Office of Public Buildings and Grounds.
Nailed it!
And then later, in 1928, she then goes to the newspaper with her proposal. And unfortunately for Eliza, not only is the initial proposal ignored, she will spend the next 24 years, presenting her proposal to every superintendent of public buildings and grounds to absolutely no avail. Now, there are a variety of issues that come up with her proposal. One superintendent says they have to hire security to keep boys from climbing the trees and stealing the fruit, which, what the heck, capitalism? And then when she informs them, lol, there are actually no fruit on these trees, let's just say he does not take to that news very kindly. Quote,
"What? No cherries, huff. What good is that sort of cherry tree?"
End quote. So while Eliza is locked into a no-win battle with the superintendents of public buildings and grounds, let's introduce another player to this story. So in 1906, a plant explorer at the Department of Agriculture named Dr. David Fairchild starts his experiments to see if it is possible to introduce Japanese flowering cherry blossom trees to the United States. In the pursuit of science, he orders and imports about 100 trees, which were planted on his personal property in Chevy Chase, Maryland, and not in DC itself. Now fast forward to about a year later, where three major synchronistic events take place. One, Fairchild's experiment is a resounding success.
Huzzah!
2, on the eve of Fairchild's Arbor Day event in 1908, Destiny intervenes and Skidmore and Fairchild meet. And during their meeting, what do they discuss? Nothing other than Skidmore's dream of planting cherry blossom trees in the newly acquired land of the Potomac Park. 3, Now, concurrent to all of this happening, First Lady Helen Taft was working on a plan to beautify the newly acquired Potomac Park. Y'all, sometimes when something is meant to be, it will happen come hell or high water. Now, Eliza, invigorated by her discussion with Fairchild, writes to First Lady Helen Taft with her cherry blossom proposal, and 2 days later, she gets the stamp of approval from the First Lady. As fate would have it, First Lady Helen Taft had also spent some time in Japan and saw for herself how breathtakingly beautiful these trees were. Y'all, that is 3 people who just absolutely love cherry blossom trees. Now, to add another layer to the story, famed chemist who discovered adrenaline, Jokichi Takamine, was in Washington, D.C. at this time with New York Japanese Consul General Kokichi Mizuno. Dr. Takamine learned about the cherry blossom plan and had the Consul General ask Mrs. Taft if she would accept a gift of 2,000 trees on behalf of the city of Tokyo. Basically, everyone accepted the arrangement because, like, why wouldn't they? Now, this is where the story heats up, quite literally, because we're going to fast forward a bit to December of 1909 when 2,000 cherry trees arrive in Seattle. By January of 1910, those trees eventually make their way from Seattle to DC, and what strikes but absolute tragedy. To everyone's dismay, an inspection team from the Department of Agriculture discovered that the shipment of trees was infested with insects, nematodes, and they were essentially diseased. To protect American growers, the department concluded that every single tree must be destroyed to prevent harm to native plants.
It was tragic.
Y'all, and this is the part in the story where I have so much respect for the Japanese team, because it easily could have become like an international crisis and could have been seen as a slap in the face. But undeterred by the failure of the first shipment in 1912, Tokyo Mayor Yukio Ozaki and other officials quickly make arrangements for a new gift of 3,020 trees. And to tie everything in a nice bow, in 1915, as a gesture of gratitude for the cherry trees, former President Taft sent a gift of the flowering dogwood tree, the official tree of Virginia, what's up, to the people of Japan. Present day, among the roughly 4,000 cherry blossom trees planted in the tidal basin, around the Washington Monument, and in the surrounding area, fewer than 100 of the original trees have survived to present day. As fate would have it, 2026 is the 250th birthday of the United States. As a symbol of the friendship between the people of the United States and Japan, the Japanese embassy are planning to gift 250 new cherry blossom trees to honor America's birthday. Happy birthday, girlfriend. Kind of. You will miss. Let's talk practical advice and logistics. According to the National Cherry Blossom Festival, it is estimated that over 1.6 million visitors will visit the tidal basin to see these iconic trees. If you are planning to be one of those 1.6 million visitors, then this is your PSA. If you are looking to get that iconic cherry blossom photo with the tidal basin and the Thomas Jefferson Memorial in the background, then there's really no if, and, or buts about it. If you want to get that iconic picture, first of all, go during a weekday. And second of all, go during the wee hours of the morning. We're talking like as soon as the sun gets up, you need to be at the tidal basin, and it will most likely still be busy. However, if you just want a picture with a cherry blossom tree in the background, then please choose any other green space in DC. If you need ideas on where to go, here's as many alternate locations I can list in 30 seconds or less. Walk around to the other side of the tidal basin. Both the Martin Luther King Jr. and FDR memorials are iconic in their own right, and although still busy, they're relatively less busy than the view with TJ in the back. Lower Senate Park, the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception, Congressional Cemetery, Haynes Point Loop Trail, the National Arboretum, the one with the columns, Old Town Alexandria, the Bishop's Garden at Washington National Cathedral, Arlington National Cemetery. And even though I'm sure locals are gonna get hella annoyed that I'm sharing this, I am not a gatekeeper, I am an educator. Get a scooter and get your booty up to the far side of Capitol Hill to Stanton Park or Lincoln Park. Both parks are cute AF and they have cherry blossoms, and right now they also have magnolias in bloom.
Hey, that's pretty good.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
If you are going to see the cherry blossoms this year, please stop ripping off entire branches or flowers off of the cherry trees.
All right, that's it. Dishonor.
It is so unnecessary. Quit doing that shit. I know that clip is from Mulan, which is like a Chinese-inspired movie, and we're talking about Japanese cherry blossoms, but it fits okay. Talking about the National Cherry Blossom Festival, below are my top 3 favorite cherry blossom events that I try and not miss every single year. We're going to talk about it in reverse order to build anticipations. Starting with third place, we have Sakura Matsuri, which is a Japanese street festival that is the largest celebration of Japanese culture in the United States. Since 2018, Sakura Matsuri has been held on Pennsylvania and Constitution Avenues Northwest, and it usually takes place on the same day as the National Cherry Blossom Festival Parade, which is very convenient. For me personally, it is an amazing festival that I've been to multiple times. There are a ton of food options and there's a bunch of different vendors. When I went in previous years, I was really drawn to the musical and drumming performances, but I am legit stoked to go this year because for the first time in the festival's history, there will be a sumo match.
Yeah, boy.
Low-key, and this is just me being honest, the only thing that annoys me about the festival, and I will admit it is 100% due to my privilege of being located in a city where the museums and festivals are typically free to enter, is for Sakura Matsuri, you have to buy a ticket to enter. Tickets are $20 for one day or $30 for both days. I think it's well worth it, but it is annoying that you have to pay. My second favorite event is super family friendly. On March 28th from 10 to 4 is the Blossom Kite Festival on the grounds of the Washington Monument. It is a free event. We love free. And I don't know, it is just a really wholesome event. It's a really great opportunity to get a picnic blanket, grab food, and just watch the kites. If you have young kids, I definitely recommend that you go to the Kite Blossom Festival. And last but not least, my absolute favorite DC event of not just like the Cherry Blossom Festival, but the entire year. Petapalooza will take place on April 4th from 1 to 9 p.m. in the Navy Yard. If I had to describe Petapalooza, it's like an all day long street festival celebrating all things spring and all things cherry blossoms. There's art installations, multiple stages, activities for the whole family, beer gardens. Truly and honestly, for me, it is a beautiful way to spend a day under the sun. And by far the best part is the entire festival ends with a free concert and a fireworks show over the Anacostia River. When I went in 2024, I believe, a local band, 𝑔ogo Gadget, was headlining, and y'all, that show changed my life. Like, that free concert was so much better than concerts that I have paid like hundreds of dollars to go and see. This is my petition to bring back 𝑔ogo Gadget. Y'all were amazing. Please do that again. In truth, my only criticism of Petapalooza feels like with each passing year, Petapalooza is selling out a little bit to corporate sponsors. Like, those sponsors are pushed hard. I do find the constant push to sign up with a bank or a gym or whatever corporate sponsor they're pushing slightly annoying. Just give me the free shit. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
These three events, they're just the tip of the iceberg. There are close to 50 events happening all over the city in a 3-week time span. And with that many options, trying to figure out what's actually worth your time can get overwhelming pretty quickly. If you are looking for a DC cherry blossom experience that actually fits your vibe, your pace, your interests, your budget, your vision, your preferences, your people, that is exactly what I do inside of a Fridates experience. I take all of this research on events, the neighborhoods, the hidden gems, and I layer it with what I learn about you, and I turn it into a custom game plan, an itinerary built around your pace, your interests, your vibe. So first of all, you're not wasting time, you're not overwhelmed by logistics, and you're not missing any of the moments that actually make your adventure memorable. Link is in the description, or head to the experiences tab on my website, fridatestravel.com, to request a discovery call. We'll hop on the phone and get this adventure started.
6.5 hours later.
Y'all, we have made it to the end. That is pretty much everything you need to know about the cherry blossoms here in Washington, D.C. At the end of the day, the cherry blossoms are so much more than just a mere flower or a beautiful backdrop for a photo. It's a reminder of how one flower brought together visionaries, nations, and cultures alike. And I mean, it still is to this day. Over 1 million people come and see them every single year. If you've made it this far in the video, did anything in this video surprise you? Let me know in the comments. If you've learned something new, I accept payments and likes, comments, and shares. And for more deep dives into the stories behind the places we travel to, make sure to hit the subscribe button and join the Fridates crew. And by the way, if you're sitting there thinking, I want to travel more, I just don't have people to go with, I am actually building a very special place for you. The Fridates community, what I am calling the Wandering Scholar Society, is an online space for curious, like-minded travelers who care about the why behind the where. It's still in the early stages, but I'm opening up to founding members first. So if you want early access and to shape what this community will become, join the list below, link in the description, or go to the community tab on my website, fridatestravel.com.
Nice.
Oh my god. We made it to the end of the first Fridates video. Thank you so much for being here, and I cannot wait to see you on the next adventure. Okay, bye-bye. Goodbye now.